I'm here in San Francisco, and I'm about to explore Alcatraz Island at night. Of course, Alcatraz is bathed in mystery, intrigue, history, agony, all kinds of shit went on there. So I'm on my scooter, and I'm heading over to the ferry to take me to Alcatraz.
Some areas of the island are unsafe and closed to the public.
And we're on the ferry, just waiting to head out.
Attention please, we are now approaching a dock.
All right, we're just about to disembark. That's crazy that Native Americans from multiple tribes occupied the island for 19 months after the prison closed in 1933. That's incredible. And that's why it says Indian land everywhere. And he was saying one of the most famous jobs that the inmates had was laundry for the military. And it was a military prison before it became a Department of Justice civilian prison. This mysterious island that has a lot of history. And of course, the infamous and notorious Al Capone. This is the last remaining cannon. I think he said there were 111, 113 at the peak of its military purpose. The Military Post Exchange Penitentiary Social Hall Officers Club. If you look down this window, you'll see a grill where they used to barbecue. At least that's what someone told me, but I can't see shit. Whoa, 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 whoa. Relax there, seagulls. I know you guys are excited. Chill, chill. Wow, tiny little morgue. Holy crap, I think they could put the bodies into the walls there on the left. As the sun's setting, we're about to find out, is Alcatraz really haunted? These are the military windows from the time this place was a fort. Pretty thick windows. This is where inmates would first enter, be washed, showered, shaved, brushed down, checked for disease, fleas, and they would don their prison outfits. And this would ensure that they're clean for the remainder of their terrible stay. And over here, they were given blankets and what they said was a dirty, uncomfortable pillow. This is where they'll shower them all in bulk. And then they'd make their way to their cell. And now I'm in the prison. Wow. I think the whole prison has 300 and something cells. 3 levels high. Wow. But these were the petty criminals. Regular criminals, not the super evil ones. They were given this pillow, a blanket, a shelf, 2 shelves, some knitting stuff over here, I think cigarettes, a toilet, and a sink, and a hanger. And later, they actually gave them headphones to plug into these 2 little outlets in the wall so they could listen to the radio. So this is the 9x5. 9 feet by 5 feet. This was their domain. You can't even stretch your, well, you can if you're a short guy, but I'm sure a lot of the prisoners were tall. Well, they could stretch this way. Just explore, think about it. They'd sit on the toilet and watch eye to eye with the other prisoner as he took a dump. I think this was meant to be a desk for them to write stuff and read and sit. Wow. This was their world, and this is concrete. And so what they wanted to do if they wanted to escape would be try to use a spoon, a metal spoon, which they did use in the dining hall. They would sneak it out and try to dig their way here and get into the utility corridor and climb the pipes and maybe go to the roof. is one of the old guard windows. That was block A and B and C, and now we're gonna check where the super evil villains were imprisoned. So far, no ghosts. Here you have it, D block. The cells here are a bit bigger than the 9x5 that we saw in the A block and the B block and the C block. These were reserved for the more violent criminals, just to give them enough space not to, go crazy and cause chaos in the prison. And of course, after the cells, you have the solitary confinement, the hole. So this is the solitary confinement cells. The worst of the worst stayed here. It's literally also a 9x5, but I think it was pitch black. All they could hear was the wind. Solitary confinement. I don't think there was a toilet in here even. Or just a hole in the ground probably. Man was never intended to live as a caged animal. Jim Quillen. Discipline in prisons is frequently confounded with punishment. Discipline is systematic training to secure submission to authority. Whoa, this Jim Quillen was quite a character. Stinks in here. Oh, this guy had a toilet. Oh, these are showers, I think. Not sure why there are two. Wouldn't be advised to put two supervillains in the same shower together. And here they are, the infamous, notorious supervillains of Alcatraz that give this place its mystery. Mickey Cohen, income tax evasion. Ellsworth Bumpy Johnson, narcotics. I think there's a movie about him with Denzel Washington, I think. Robert the Birdman Stroud, said to speak 3 languages and be a really good mathematician. He studied birds for a living, and he was in here for murder. Alvin Creepy Carpus, conspiracy to kidnap. Oof. And then he came to this federal prison. Arthur Doc Barker. He looks like the guy in Lost. George Machine Gun Kelly. And of course, Scarface himself. Al Capone, who ran the Italian mob in Chicago. Right out of D Block is the library. This is where prisoners were rewarded for behaving, and they were given time to read books in the library. Maybe the prisoners in the library here would read out loud so that the prisoners in the cells could listen and live vicariously through the readers. Or maybe they weren't in their cell and it was like social hour, and that's when they used the library, so everybody was out of their cell. I don't know. As darkness descends upon Alcatraz, it really freaking adds to the mystery of this place. And all we're left with is the light emanating from each of these cells. Look at this guy. This guy's a painter, left to paint for hours. All from his imagination. Now we're gonna go to the dining hall where 200 inmates would dine at one time. And there's tear gas canisters embedded in the ceiling in case of emergency. I think that's one. Up here, they would drop a canister of tear gas. This is the kitchen where they cooked for all the inmates. And the officers, I guess. Not sure. I wonder what that room in the center was. Oh, look. It's the warden's office. These are the wardens of the prison. The wardens of Alcatraz. Only 4, surprisingly. Hours of boredom. Seconds of terror. 3 officers died. Perhaps the no-nonsense orderly approach to managing Alcatraz was its success. In the grim world of prisons, inmates often thought of escape. Sometimes their plans turned into desperate action. In the 29 years of Alcatraz operated, 3 Correctional officers lost their lives when inmates tried to escape. Wow. Old Coca-Cola, radio, flashlight. Dude, it's like this place is stuck in time. Damn. This is the control room. The switchboard for communications out of the island, and a Tommy gun in the back to keep the inmates in check. Oh, there's a handcuff on the typewriter. And all the keys right there. I don't know what they open, probably all these doors. So what you just saw was the control room. The brains of the operation. Oh shit, that scared me. That scared the living daylight out of me. This is when Alcatraz was a military island. Oh wow. Alcatraz army officers and family members. No way. That's insane. Oh my God. Oh, the earliest known photograph of Alcatraz taken in 1853. Absolutely incredible. And these are pictures of more modern times. And that's the warden on the left there, as the prisoners are being sent to their cell. I wonder who this guy is. Wow, the look on his face. I don't know what it is about this place, but it's just so freaking mesmerizing and captivating. And the crazy thing is, a large part of this island, I don't get to explore. Like there's stairs going up, there's stairs going down. Hey, San Francisco at night. Woo! Seagull's still here. I'm sure these seagulls know about the ghosts that haunt Alcatraz. This is the warden's house. Ah. Or the military commandant's house. And then later on, in later years, from 1934 to 1963, it was the penitentiary's warden's house. Wow, he had a really nice house. He lived in some luxury. Look in there. He had a fireplace and 2 floors. You have to visit Alcatraz at night. The ambiance is just unbelievable. Now it really looks like the penitentiary it was, with those lights above. It's crazy. It's crazy that there was so much life, so much pain, so much agony. Absolutely incredible. We're walking in history right now. This was a fully functional, thriving prison. Incredible. What was that? Oh, it was the metal planks that they use for the go-karts. Penitentiary residence, military workshops, and schoolhouse. I cannot believe there were children here with their families. If we listen carefully, we might hear the inmates yell. No, all I hear are seagulls. It's said that 3 of the inmates escaped from the workshop, which I believe is on the northern side of the island. I think they made holes in the walls in their cells, climbed the pipes, made it to the roof, and then climbed down, and then using tools from the workshop, cut through bars on the windows, and then broke through some fencing, and then waited for a very foggy day. Of course, not to get hit by ships, and not to be seen by search parties. As of today, there were 5 escapees missing. No one knows what happened to them. 5. Their bodies are probably lost in the ocean, or they actually escaped. Perfect fugitives, never caught, never seen again. Wow. So far, no unexplained sounds, no unexplained sightings, and so I have to come here again to explore the unknown. That's our ferry, back to civilization. So apparently the birdman of Alcatraz was one of the most violent criminals to ever be imprisoned on Alcatraz. He apparently stabbed a prison guard to death in a previous prison. And he spent most of his time in segregation, writing books about the science of birds. And there you have it, folks. Probably the most famous prison ever. A lot of shit went down there. A lot of history, a lot of pain, a lot of agony, a lot of mystery. It was phenomenal. It was magical to visit, really magical. All right, see you guys in the next one.